prior to your years, you would SLP opposition
Well,
would pressure the government?
Well, first of all, as I made it clear, that the government made some promises that they would fulfill or they would make good after the first 100 days. We're going to be waiting for these promises. We expect to get a reduction in VAT. We expect to get that. We expect to get a reduction in licensing fees, and we expect that the school subsidy program will be expanded, and we also expect that house taxes to stop. So we believe that these promises were made for the first 100 days. We await for the government to fulfill these promises.
Fight to stay alive.
Yes, basically fight to stay alive, and but what I want to make clear is that we are going to give the government the opportunity to do what they said that they would do for the Republic of St. Lucia. You may have heard recently that the president of Guyana made a statement that he thought that the statement to reduce VAT was basically done too hastily, and then he had to have a conversation with IMF, etc., on the reduction of VAT, and that was the case in Guyana. I don't know what will be the case in St. Lucia, but we're expecting the government to fulfill its promises and reduce VAT and eventually remove it.
Mr. Pegg, could you comment on the current composition of cabinet, which seems to have sparked a lot of controversy in the past weeks?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with the notion that the cabinet is smaller. The cabinet isn't smaller. They actually are more ministers than in the last government, and the salaries of ministers in terms of the total salaries are more, so the cabinet is not smaller. So what's happened is that we've started with a larger cabinet, and the notion of minister in the ministry. So it says that there are basically, like in the Ministry of Equity, there are 3 ministers. I've never heard that before. I've heard of ministers of state or parliamentary secretaries. So I don't understand that notion, and I don't agree with the explanation given by the Prime Minister.
Okay, can you comment on the issue of vote buying? Former Prime Minister Dr. Anthony said the issue has still yet to be addressed. So just your comment.
The former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony made the statement, and he's going to expound it when the time comes.
But nothing from the opposition side.
Former Prime Minister made a statement. He's going to expound it when the time comes.
But in terms of the cabinet, so you don't agree, but is there a little more in how you're going to attack this issue in the sense that its implications for the country and what can be done about it? Does the SLP opposition has a plan of action?
But you see,
To get
we
this
are
explained
looking.
first, and if it's still further not satisfied.
Well, we are looking at if there are any legal remedies that we can look at, but we haven't. Our legal people haven't come up with any definitive responses as yet. But what we know is that there are in a government when they were in opposition, they promised to make the cost of administration smaller. They've actually increased the cost of administration in their first stroke. In their first action, they've increased the cost of administration, they've increased the number of ministers in the cabinet. That's what we know for a fact. As to the legal issues, these are still under consideration.
But you would do that kind of cost estimate?
We are looking at that. No, the cost estimate is clear, but the legal issues have to be spoken about a little more. But there definitely is an increase in cost. It's a fact. It's a mathematical fact that there's more money being paid out to ministers now than under administration. That is a mathematical fact.
All right. Can I move on to the results of the election and the Labour Party's own review? Is that something you can...
Well, we are obviously not happy with the results. We are disappointed. But as I said before, our party we are not sour losers. We have accepted the fact that our government lost, and neither was the party in power. We have to go forward now. We are building our party. We have a team of very dedicated and committed men and women, both in and out. since we lost the election, there has been a kind of influx of people who really want to come and make a contribution to our party. So we are waiting to see what the government will do. So we are organizing ourselves. We are developing the structures of our party. And as you know, 4 years is a very short time in life and in politics.
But I think the swing factor, which is a fundamental aspect of that result, is there a way of putting your finger on
You see,
what the fundamental result?
You see, I think I don't know if my colleagues, I think, I'll tell you
I'm not
what.
a student, well, I'm not a political scientist, but it doesn't suggest to me that people's minds were made up in the last 3 weeks or 1 month. Seems to me it was more ingrained than that.
You see,
Minds were made up a long time ago. and
You see, I'll tell you what, I
something-
think one of the issues with our government when we were in power, we did not communicate with people in a way that they understood the economic situation in the world and the economic situation in the region. The fact that St. Lucia never had an IMF program was not understood enough, or probably we did not explain enough what an IMF program meant and how people would live under an IMF program. I think it was an issue of communication, and I think people did not understand why we had the measures that we took. These measures, some of them were painful, but not as painful as if we were under an IMF program. I think the main reason why is the economic reasons, and the UWP with their rather bland promise of money in your pockets. I think that's what did the trick. The money in your pockets, because people did not understand how this government managed the economy and how it kept St. Lucia away from the doors of the IMF. And I think they got sold to the idea of money in your pockets. And I think that was the main reason why we lost the elections.
Can we look forward? You mentioned earlier that it's going to be mostly an opposition of waiting to hear what the government says. Are you going to be a reactionary opposition, or are you going to be putting forward a lot of ideas? Because you guys obviously have expanse of knowledge and wisdom throughout the years. Are you going to be reactionary, or are you going to be coming in with new things? For instance, Brexit. We have a new Prime Minister in Britain. So will Dr. Hilaire be coming in and giving ideas ahead of the Prime Minister making decisions?
Well, I'll tell you something. We will always work in the welfare of the people of St. Lucia. We'll always give ideas that will cause St. Lucia to be better. But the government does not have to listen. You understand? The government doesn't have to listen. But I'll tell you what, as we move forward, very shortly, we want to hold a conference or a meeting where our party will give its platform, the platform that we will work on in the next 5 years. What we'll call, for want of a better word, a statement of principles, where we're going to see why should people support the St. Lucia Labour Party. Because we think we are different, we think our message is a better message, and we think that we have a better team, but we respect the will of the people of St. Lucia. So our job in the next 4 or 5 years is to convince people that it's better to support our party.
Two questions.
So more proposal than reaction?
A little of both. We're going to propose, we're going to react to bad government. We'll not sit here and allow bad government to happen. We can't.
One more thing from me. Mr. Josie has stated that the SLP needs fresh blood.
I don't want to comment on Mr. Josie. Mr. Josie, last time Mr. Josie won election, he lost his deposit. So I speak on people. I don't want to touch Mr. Josie is not relevant in the circumstances.
Two questions.
Huh? Sorry?
One for Mr. Baptiste and one for Mr. Jean-Baptiste. Mr.
No, you're
Baptiste.
going to ask me the questions I will ask.
Okay, sorry. Well, it has to do with two things. On the eve of the election, current Prime Minister Chasney, in opposition, spoke of a meeting with the French people as it relates to the agriculture sector, bananas particularly, improving our agriculture sector. improving the production, banana production, and of course, at getting more farm bananas. I'd like your thoughts on that, Mr. Shabatis and Mr. Baptiste. Mr. Chasney's recent statements at CARICOM concerning Liat about changes will come. As far as I'm aware, we're not shareholders of Liat, so I want to know how your thoughts on him making those statements in terms of changes being made with Liat.
Right. Mr. Shabatis?
Shift the mic, please.